Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Untitled Tarot and to my late full moon readings. I tried to start on the full moon yesterday. If you saw the one reading that I did present, I was having technical issues. But I really enjoy doing these Gods at Play readings, looking at the opposing forces that may be working with us over the past. Well, for today's reading, it's an interesting one because it could be for the next 2 weeks, waiting up until the new moon, and we're clearing out of the whole Cancer Capricorn cycle, which this lunar eclipse last night, which was not a good one. Listening to all the astrologers, it's not good. It could be, obviously, for the next 4 weeks, working up until the next full moon. It could be for the next 6 months, working all the way towards the next eclipse, which I think is on the winter solstice. It's interesting that this year, which is remarkable for having 6 eclipses rather than 4, that the eclipses are actually smack bang on the solstice points. So, just in case you hadn't noticed, 2020 is a really big year. And of course, there's nothing going on in the world that would give you that impression, is there? Right, so I look at the opposing forces here. This is a... you could ask a question beforehand. It's not the sort of reading where I guarantee that you will actually get an answer because, as I say, we are looking at the forces. We are looking at the energies that are at play. I have 2 rows on my reading. The top row is looking at the gods as archontic masks, as in forces that are designed to oppress us, to press us down and keep us separated from the divine. The bottom row is a more pagan view of the gods, where they are free natural forces, independent entities and energies in and of their own right, and they are working to lift us up. Now, I come from a philosophy where, within reason, and there's a comment in itself, but within reason, everything is true. Everything is real. So I can see the effects of the archontic masks of the gods, and I can see the gods. I have more of a pagan background than not. So it's I have Gnostic leanings as well. So the two sort of clash against one another. And there's always the thought that the pagan gods, if there are only archons and then the angels above them, then the pagan gods that we work with are egregores, astral creations of mankind. But these pagan gods, these egregores, are old creations of mankind. They'll have gained some wisdom and some energy and some power along the way. I don't personally think that they are egregores, although I do think that there are egregores of them, if that makes sense. Anyway, way too technical. Let's me get on to dealing the cards. So it's a general reading. There's not even an element of take what resonates necessarily because it's not that sort of reading. You can have a look at the energies and then observe to see whether they're at play or not in your life, and you're not necessarily going to know while watching the reading right now. But don't take my words as gospel, but also do watch your sun, your moon and your rising signs. I think certainly in a lunar eclipse month, watch your moon. Definitely. Watch your sun sign because, as Soul Garden TV says, Chris Witecki, that's your first story, your primary story. Your rising sign is the secondary story. Although in ancient astrology, your rising sign was the most important. But when we're dealing with moon readings, I think the moon features in there somewhere. So if you don't know what your moon and rising sign are, there's a link down below in the description. Follow that through to, I think it's a Cafe Astrology one, but AstroSeek is really good as well, because you can do all sorts of little, like change the house system that you're working with, and do you want to see asteroids or not. So I think I should start putting the AstroSeek link in there as well. There's also a link down there for a Facebook page for the channel. Now that has its own inbox, so if you want to contact me directly for a personal reading via that, you can do. I post all of these videos obviously, and all the astrology videos that I watch, and sometimes other, well, as I call it, in a respectful and reverent fashion, all the hocus pocus nonsense that I watch, because people can get too serious with this, and the whole point of existence is supposed to be working towards joy, isn't it? You know, so, you know, yes, take it seriously, but don't take it too seriously. You know, have a sense of humour about it, because the world is ludicrous. The fact that we chose to do this as incarnate souls is ludicrous, and so it's worth a smile. Yeah, I think that's it for the housekeeping. So, like I say, looking at the opposing energies, because full moon, sun opposed moon. All right, let me bring up the cards. And of course, as ever, there is a timestamp down below. So if you've just joined us after it, welcome Gemini rising and Gemini moon. And just like Taurus, we start off with Aries, with war. This is an interesting selection of forces. We have Aries with war, Athena with wisdom, but do not forget that she was a goddess of war as well. Lakshmi with prosperity, Inanna with seduction, and Dionysus with merrymaking. But supporting you, Thoth with wisdom, so indicating a totally different form of wisdom to Athene. Hebe with play, she was a cupbearer to the gods, as I recall. The Muses with inspiration, Animetia or Animetia with integrity, and Aphrodite with attraction. So there's two similar forces that are that far apart from one another, that are competing here. With Athene, with wisdom, being, or at least the archontic mask of Athena, in opposition to Thoth with true spiritual wisdom. Because bear in mind, like I said, Athene was a war goddess as well as a wisdom goddess. She was a person who was strategic battle. So it's almost like you may get tempted to dive into some form of conflict, some form of confrontation where, oh no, it's that side. Yep, I have sticky uppy hair. Yeah, just avoid the conflicts. If you can see, it's common sense to dive in and, I would say, maybe protect, because with Lakshmi being an archontic mask here, prosperity, it's all about looking after what is yours and your own riches, whereas what this bottom row is indicating is there is a new way. Hebe with play. There is also Hebe, one thing I get from Hebe is being noticed by somebody who's out of the usual environment and has some sway, influence. I'm not going to necessarily say money, you know, well, although it could be, but some form of sway or influence, and they are suggesting something new to you that makes sense, but it flies in the face of the more combative, scarcity consciousness that you may be tempted to dive into, because there'll be plenty of people cheering you along, but this is in effect just Ah, that's why Aphrodite. Because these are the other two. Inanna with seduction and Aphrodite with attraction. Similar energies. But Inanna will pull you into your own underworld here. And the other people cheering you along and saying, yes, come on, you've got to join in with this fight. Okay, this is not like Taurus's reading at all. But you've got to join in with the fight. Will prevent any form of meaningful transformation. Now, with the muses being directly opposing Lakshmi, it's almost like there is a new way to survive. There is a new way to gain money. Because let's face it, everything boils down to money in this life. You know, we'd like to say that love rules the world. It doesn't. Money rules the world. But there is a new way of making money and growing what is yours and what you can share. 5 of Wands on Aries. Growing what you can share, where you get to keep your integrity and you don't have to drag yourself through the muck, which is what Inanna is suggesting, because again, Inanna had her own journey into the underworld. Right, let's see what we've got. Because things around your prosperity will be moving fast. But there is a choice that you either react to it, death, or you allow the change to happen. You stick with your integrity, which brings you to a form of wish fulfillment. So if there's something getting destroyed, and the choice is either fight for it or walk away and let it be destroyed and see what happens next, then the advice on here is see what happens next. Aphrodite sprang into being out of the sea. She represents a whole new beginning. It is the birth of love. She is the mother of... Now, this is the way I look at it, because Eros in some myths is a fundamental force of the universe. That sense of love is one of the binding energies that rose out of the chaos and helped create the universe. He was also the son of Aphrodite. Now, how can both be true? One, of course it can, timelessness. You know, the chaos, out of chaos sprang eternity. So Eros can be both the son of Aphrodite and a cosmic fundamental force, just as Jesus can be a part of God and God's son and incarnate in a human form. But Aphrodite here is clarified by the 6 of Swords, going to a better place, putting conflict behind you. Because if you remember, before the 6 of Swords comes the 5, which is all that nasty conflict. Staying true to your integrity brings wish fulfillment. Now, I'm not going to say that wish fulfillment... Get my teeth in. That wish fulfillment is fast, but embrace the change. Embrace the death. Do not fight to resist it. Yeah, that's pretty much everything that I see here. I can't... Because I'm not quite sure how to read this. So we have IEIL, with Shem Hemeferash, angel number 22, with fame and renown. So somehow here, by sticking to your integrity, you are becoming well known. You are having a whole new beginning, and that whole new beginning is based upon inspirations of new ways for you to stick to your integrity and refuse to do it the same old way, Hierophant, with diving into the muck of the underworld. Don't push me on that particular image. I'm using the underworld as a mucky thing here rather than the transformational shadow work, whatever. I'm not talking about transformational shadow work. I'm talking about going through the bowels of hell. You know, there's no need to do that. No need whatsoever. Just stand back from that battle. Go to an older wisdom and not just what is the prevailing common sense that says you must fight for this. No, if it's got to the point where you need to fight for it, the battle is already lost. Walk away. Okay? Yeah, interestingly, on the bottom of this card we have Epos, Voyage by Sea, which really just reflects that whole Six of Swords image, which is normally of a boat. Right, there's nothing else that I can see here, Gemini. But then again, that's plenty to be getting on with, isn't it? I've no idea what your next reading will be because it's been a little chaotic recently. Whether it's the eclipse and Mercury retrograde and just general life, you know. So there will be another reading out. But in the meantime, if this means anything to you, comment down below, like, share, subscribe, obviously, and I will see you when I see you. Cheers.